I know in the States we just had Thanksgiving and everyone is gearing up for Christmas. So, what better time to drop a quick episode that embraces the power of random acts of kindness with a Christmas themed twist? Welcome to the Just Dumb Enough podcast, a show that acknowledges no one is always an expert by dispelling misconceptions with real experts. I'm your host as always, Colton Petrie. My guest today is Beth Dessen Duffy. Beth, along with help from her family, wrote a book, The Christmas Tree That Changed the World. Yes, she's an author and also a CEO, but most importantly to her, she's a mother. So when she saw kindness missing in the education curriculum, she stepped up to teach a lesson that kindness can be found in the everyday, in ways that incentivize everyone from adults to toddlers. Let's earn some ornaments. Welcome to the show, Beth Dessen Duffy.
Hi, Colton. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Why don't you introduce yourself for the audience?
So, as Colton mentioned, my name is Beth Dessen Duffy, and I'm a mother and a kindness enthusiast. And my husband and I work together, and we have a new storybook. And the storybook is called The Christmas Tree That Changed the World. Because really, when you do acts of kindness, you're really changing the world.
Fantastic. So, what brought you to this point, working on this project?
So that's a great question. When our children were little and we saw what was going on in their school, we thought, boy, we wish they lived in a kinder world because, I'm not saying that things were terrible, because we had so much to be thankful for, but there were a lot of unkind things going on. And, my husband and I wished that they were living in a kinder world. So instead of waiting for it to happen, we thought that we should come up with an activity that creates a kinder world for ourselves, for our family. So we came up with this idea that we would, it started in the Christmas season, to tape a construction paper Christmas tree to our kitchen cabinet. And as each of us completed a kind act, we would add an ornament to the tree. And yes, we were giving kindness, but we were also feeling a lot of happiness in return. And it was a great activity because my husband, he would go to work and he would come home and explain how he found an opportunity to be kind. And our kids, when they went off to like second or fourth grade, they had different opportunities to be kind. But it was a great equalizer because no matter what our ages were, we could celebrate at the end of the day that we each tried to do something. We tried to find ways to be kind. But I must say that I would say each year it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy flow because like December 25th would be coming up and we would be saying, oh my gosh, we don't have enough ornaments on the tree. And we would scramble and, try to complete our goal by December 25th. But so to make a long story short, it started out as a family tradition. And over the years, people encouraged us to share it with others. And 16 years went by. And I can say that we were reluctant entrepreneurs. My husband and I talked and we said, well, either we share it with others or we stop talking about it. So we decided to go for it. And now, happily with the help of a lot of people along the way, we're happy to share the three elements, the storybook, the free app, and the free craft.
Fantastic. Was it like a very large construction paper tree that kind of like incentivized how much space there was on it? Or did you start kind of small and be like, well, it's easier to fill up?
Well, that was well thought out, Colton. I would say the tree was about 24 inches high and 12 inches across. And sometimes the balls were bigger than probably they should be just to take up more space. But when the balls were bigger, it was great because it left room to draw a little picture of like if somebody did empty the dishwasher when it wasn't their turn, there was a picture of a dish with the name. So the size, it was pretty big. It could have been bigger, I guess, but that worked just fine on a kitchen cabinet.
So what was it about Christmas that made this like the season for the project?
Well, it was a perfect fit because it's the season of kindness and giving. So we especially wanted to make the season about giving and not just getting, because it is pretty exciting, and I still love to get a gift as much as anybody else. But in the whole excitement of what is Santa going to bring, what is Santa going to bring, in the spirit of the season, what are we going to give to others? And in that spirit, as an aside, at that time of year, also, children around the world are often hungry, more often than we'd like to hear about, in danger, in need, and a portion of our profits do go to worldvision.org because it seemed very appropriate that Christmas is about children and children at heart, and we have to remember, especially those children in need.
It certainly seems over the years we have, lost a bit of our connection to the holiday. We've let it become a bit of a consumer holiday where it's like we've got to buy as many things as we can for all these people instead of just focusing about like this is a time of the year where we can show people, any people, people in your family, people in the community, people across the globe that you care, that they mean something to you to exist.
Yes. And Colton, may I say this? These are things that we were taught. We didn't invent these ideas. These are things that we're passing along what we've learned. And in this story, I think it's beautiful because we have to remember that when you give, you receive. And in this story, Spruce and Holly find when they give acts of kindness, they feel it in their heart. And I think this is so important to remember because, people want to be happy and they want to receive gifts. And, moms want their kids to be happy. But really, if you want to feel happiness, remember a different way to feel happiness is to give.
So, I've seen a lot of places out there, like the local bank, the local fire department, those kind of things that do, gift giving drives. Is that kind of like, do you think a good way to give back, or do you think it could be a little more direct when you're talking about like acts of kindness? Is it more fulfilling internal to say like you're giving directly, you're doing a good act of kindness for someone near you that you're, well aware of, or is that kind of blind, like it doesn't really matter who this is for as long as I'm doing good? Is there one over the other that you prefer and you kind of tell people to lean towards?
So, Colton, that's a really great question. And I'm going to let everybody answer that one themselves, how they feel about it. But the way we started looking at it was like this. We wanted to have kindness in our home. So we did kindness in our home. We wanted to have kindness in our immediate community, which would be, maybe donate, go through some old clothes, and donate to your local Salvation Army or Goodwill. So donate in your community, but don't forget everyone around the globe who also, celebrates different holidays, including Christmas, whatever they're celebrating. We're all a member of the human race, and Christmas is a wonderful time to, give to those in need around the globe. So I think all three forms are great, and there's no right answer. So let's just do all of the above.
I like that answer. I think it's very good, kind of whatever you can do, right? Like it doesn't have to be monetary when we're talking about doing these acts of kindness. It doesn't have to be purchasing a gift. It could just be, like you said, doing the dishes for somebody else when it's not your turn.
That's right. Or calling an elderly relative, or let's see, what else? Giving more than it's expected, or letting somebody go ahead of you in line. They almost look at you like you're crazy, or what's wrong with you? And that's the other thing I like to say. We often think that kindness is like a real soft skill, but I think that we have to recognize that kindness takes courage because you don't always know how it's going to be received. And you kind of have to go through that conversation in your head that, what's the worst that can happen? And oh, yeah, I think I can live with that. I'm going to try it anyway. And, and just reach for the kindness and have a little courage.
Yeah, and I mean, don't be afraid to do the small things. Like you said, letting somebody go ahead of you in line is a very small thing, and I think people underestimate the amount of difference that could make to somebody that really needs it. Half the time, maybe a quarter of the time, they may not even think about it. They might be like, yeah, sure, okay. But there's going to be people along the way that are like, oh, wow, somebody really did something for me. Like they cared and took the time out of their day to say, like, no, you go first in line. And maybe that, bleeds into their day. And these little things kind of build up. And that makes everybody act a little kinder.
Yes, that's beautifully said. And I've read about it a little bit, and and I know the random acts of kindness people are tremendous, but they're all ripples of kindness that that can be spread, throughout your home, your community, and your world. And okay, I have to tell you about this story again, because in the story, I love this part that although the heroes are Spruce and Holly, which is a young evergreen tree named Spruce and puppy friend Holly, they decide to decorate Spruce by adding ornaments by doing kind acts. And they overcome their doubts and they decorate Spruce with kind act ornaments. And you'll see that they do, very simple things like sharing some pine cones with the squirrels. And I think the point is made that even an evergreen tree can do a kind act. Why can't we? But the part that I think is really neat when you talk about ripples of kindness is that when they finish their first Christmas tree of kindness, the news of the Christmas tree of kindness spreads throughout all the forests and all the towns, and people start decorating Christmas trees of kindness all over the world. And, that's the way things can spread. Goodness can spread just as hopefully faster than bad things, but it's such a relief and such a healthy exercise. And I applaud you, Colin, for even agreeing to this interview, because if we focus on good things and spreading kindness, the ripples do, I think, reverberate around the world eventually.
And that's kind of the idea, I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, behind this is that, like, if you get people to do it for just a little bit of time during that Christmas season, right? Like, hey, decorate the tree, do some kind things, look at what you've done. It kind of builds a habit to say, like, oh, you could do this for more than a month.
Yes, and you know what? We've had requests for different kinds of trees for different times of year, and we would love to do that. And right now you can decorate. Let's see, a St. Patrick's Day tree of kindness. We have St. Patrick's Day ornaments, Valentine's ornaments, and Easter ornaments. But one day, our vision is to offer different trees for different types of religious celebrations or non-religious celebrations. But this is where the activity started, and we're growing from here.
Of course, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about like a 4th of July where you're doing, you're cutting out like little strips that are outlined for you on paper, and you get to make a bigger and bigger firework on the wall.
I like it.
Feel free to use that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, it's what you're talking about. It's these ripples. The little things become bigger things, become movements, become a way of life, right?
Yes,
Like it's all about just practice because
yes.
nobody remembers to do it every day. Even the people like yourself that are actively thinking about it, there's moments where you have to look back and be like, oh, I guess I missed an opportunity, but that's okay because I'll get the next one.
That's right. And some people that are using the activity, throughout the year, even though it's a Christmas tree, they say they think twice sometimes when an opportunity comes along now and they think, oh, do I have to do this? And then they think, oh, yes, I'm going to extend myself and I'll have another ball to add to my tree. So they're decorating trees year round, Christmas 365. So, for some people that's great, but other people, as you say, might like a 4th of July tree. But Colt, may I just mention this when we talk about ripples around the world? Because one person's, I'm always learning from other people. And this gentleman said to me, Beth, I really enjoy this story, but he said, what I really like is the app, because the app enables me or anyone who downloads the free app to create a virtual tree. And for instance, Colton, you and I could join the same tree and we can connect with people around the world, right? Whoever we invite. So I could, I can invite you, I can invite a childhood friend, and then I can see when Colton has done a kind act. I get a notice. And then Colton can see when Anne Marie picked up trash on the ground, helping Mother Nature, being nice to Mother Nature. So then we work cooperatively. And then at the end, we all get a star for the treetop and Christmas music to celebrate that the world is a kinder place. But it's just in the line of thinking of the ripple that, with technology, isn't it amazing that we can connect with loved ones living around the world and decorate trees with kindness?
Certainly. And, having this broader audience where you're starting to see people, use this for different reasons and want to have different seasons. And I didn't mean to rhyme, but there it is. With having all of that, do you hear a lot of stories about people who reach out and they're like, I just really hit this roadblock, like this person that is just kind of a wall, and I'm trying to reach out to them to do kind things for them, and they just don't seem to care, to be receptive? Or is the whole point just to be like, okay, well, that person exists, but we're going to go around them? I can't wait to try and convert this person to being kind. I just have to keep doing it. And, they're going to just be kind of a rock along the river.
So that's a very interesting question. And I'm sure everybody handles it differently. But I would say that my attitude would be there's a time for everything. And what my mom, I think, would tell me is if someone's not responding, just leave them alone and wish them peace and maybe circle back around another time, because timing is everything. And I think it's good to remember that we never know what's going on in people's lives. Don't take it too personally and just keep on moving forward.
I think that's an excellent point. Everyone has a day or two or whatever, throughout the year where you're like, I am one of the most open, chatty people you've ever met, except for, on X day where I don't want to talk to anyone.
And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we need recuperative time.
Yeah. You just need a moment, and that's all right.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Well, I've appreciated this, and I hope, it puts a little more kindness out into the world. It helps people find a way to build that habit. Like we were saying, this is not something that necessarily comes innately. It takes time to think about each one of these opportunities and to consider how you could best utilize your time and energy to be very kind. So I've appreciated you coming on here and talking about that and helping people do that with your app. If you could, I'd love to give you a minute to let people know where to find you and where to find the things you've made.
Well, thank you so much for this time and for our conversation, Colton. I would say please visit christmastreeofkindness.com. So that's christmastreeofkindness.com. And from there, you can order the book from Amazon. There's a link to Amazon. And then there's also, you can see the first 10 pages of the book, because not only is the story beautiful, I'm a little biased, but the illustrations are tremendous. Lamb Quatch did our illustrations. And we have the link right to the Apple Store from the website. If you have an Apple device, you can download the app. And if none of those appeal to you, from the website, you can print 2 pages, which is your blank spruce tree with 39 ornaments. So you can start decorating a paper version. And please visit and become part of the team. And all you have to do to be part of the team is decorate a tree.
Absolutely. Like you said, free app, free printable version. If people do go to Amazon, please leave good reviews for that, because that helps other people find it. In this case, has a very large ripple effect if more people are able to find these things. So thank you again for your time. I've appreciated this.
Thank you so much.
If you want a really easy act of kindness that will change my whole world, leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you use either of those or both. It takes just a couple seconds, helps this show find even more people who will enjoy it, and it tells me that I'm doing an okay job. These are the last few days of November, so the rankings look pretty secure. Number 1, the United States, led by Oregon, New York, and Iowa. Number 2, Australia, with Western Australia trying to overtake New South Wales. Number 3, the United Kingdom, with England clearly winning. Number 4, Germany, now led by Hessen, overtaking Canada in a total upset of the norm. And number 5, Canada, barely hanging in there and led by British Columbia. Is everything okay, Canada? Are you good? That's it for this week. Have a great week, a great weekend. I'll see you all back here for the next episode. Remember, you can always reach out to me at dumbenoughpodcast@gmail.com or on any of the social media pages if you want to reach me personally. But most importantly, stay dumb.